Hey everybody, today I wanted to do something a little different because I don't really do book reviews, and so it's not really a review, it's just sort of me gushing about this book. Like I used to, remember when I was gushing last year, or earlier this year, or I can't remember when I did it. No, it was last year, about Bleeding Violet by Dia Reeves. I have a new book to gush about. I just finished Please Ignore Vera Dietz on my Nook. So it's not a pretty cover. It's just, you know, well, that's it. It's normally a yellow cover with the, you know, with the lighter on it, and you know, it's actually pretty interesting. And I think that what's interesting is that I love this book for a lot of the same reasons that I love Bleeding Violet. It's very weird. It's very inventive. The structure of the story with this is different from Bleeding Violet, because I think Bleeding Violet was pretty traditionally structured. But Please Ignore Vera Dietz is told in a very scrambled manner. It's told both historically and currently. It sort of alternates. It's told from the point of view of sort of a dead kid, Vera, her father, and a pagoda, which is interesting, which is this, there's this pagoda that kind of looks over the town. It's a big structure, and it has thoughts about how people are doing. It's really interesting. Basically, the premise is this. Charlie and Vera were friends since they were very young, and during high school, things started to change, and they sort of separated and turned into kind of enemies. And then, this is not giving anything away, Charlie dies. And that sort of creates all of this interesting dynamics between Vera and everyone around her, pretty much. And her descent sort of into alcoholism and all these kind of things, which is, I think, is totally up my alley, because I love things to be dark. I also, the big thing with the book also is the A.S. King. Let's call her Amy, like we know her. I don't know her. I don't know anything about A.S. King, but I do believe her name is Amy. And if it's not, then you know, we're just sort of developing that casual rapport that only two people who've never met can do. I think the tone is really consistent. It's very dark. She moves into and out of humor really really easily. So it's like the humor, while not hilarious and slap your leg funny, is very, it's just really dark. It's kind of disturbed, really gallows humor. Like you're really, there's a scene in that movie with Zach Braff. What is it? You guys know what it is. He goes back home. It's in Jersey. It's called Garden State, where he's sitting there and he's looking at his to-be girlfriend, and he just says, no, she says it to him. She was like, "You're really in it." And that's kind of how I see Vera. She's really in it. She's like deep in the shit, I guess you could say. There's so much stuff going on in her head, so many things she's either trying to avoid or deal with, and when you're in that place, it affects how you view the world. And so the descriptions of everything are very consistently dark and very kind of not subdued, but you know, she'll notice the weirdest stuff. And how she views the sort of ghost of Charlie is really unusual. I'm just going to let you find that out. Anyway, so there's a depth of character there that I found really appealing, and I loved it. And the inventiveness of the writing and the POVs, I think, is something that I just loved. I want to keep this quick. The last thing I want to talk about, and something that really is different for me with these kind of books that I hang on to in my head, is there's a level of resonance. And that's, you know, like you can read a book. I'm just going to grab a book, and this is by, no, I haven't read it. Let's say Criers Cross by Lisa McMahon. You know, I can read that book, but maybe it doesn't have anything, there's not anything that's going to touch me because I'm not going through anything that's similar at the time. When a book resonates for me, it's because the topics that it's hitting, the content, not the content, but the theme of the book has touched on some things that have happened with me currently, and so it develops an emotional resonance for me. There's a lot of the stuff in this book about like dealing with death, dealing with near death, and dealing with secrets that are very sort of pertinent to what's been going on in my life for the last 3 months, and so I found myself at the end of reading this book just absolutely in tears, and I was actually considering doing a sort of pseudo book review while they were drying on my cheeks, because that would be sort of a performance statement, I guess, for a vlog, right? I don't know, but I mean, suffice it to say, it hit my heart in such a way that it'll be a book that I don't ever forget. And so that's that. And it's kind of sad because I also finished the day before I finished Crank by Ellen Hopkins, and I felt like that was a really great book, and it only I didn't think that I was going to like it because of the verse style, but it really kind of drew me in. I was a little unhappy about the ending, just because it didn't feel right to me, but whatever. Whatever. It's not my story. And so it didn't resonate for me as much as this book, which was just intense. So please ignore Vera Dietz. Actually, don't ignore, please ignore Vera Dietz by A.S. King. Go out and get it. Like forever. Keep it in your shelf. Actually, I have it on my Nook, but I'm probably going to have to buy the book at this point. I really have to get it. So that's it. Talk to you soon.